I don't know if the birds can be heard, but they're sure pretty early in the morning to listen to. And it looks like it's going to be another beautiful day in my area. Right now I'm just heading to the mailbox to put a letter in the mail. I woke up super early this morning, too early. I was up for a little while and then told my husband I need to go back and get some more sleep. So I did that, and I'm very happy that I did. And now I am going to walk over here where I like to sit and enjoy my cup of coffee. Just enjoy the sunshine. Enjoy the views and the sounds. While I'm down here this morning, I wanted to share with you about my garden. I should say my garden spot, because there is no garden in it this year. And it really is just a disaster. So I thought I'd tell you the story of all these plants that you see, these green ones. I've had neighbors and things ask me, what do you have growing in your garden? So I've got a really funny story to tell you of what this is. I just get down here and the fire alarm goes off. We have a volunteer fire department, so when they need to call people for any kind of an emergency, then they do over a loud siren that everybody can hear in the area. So I had to pause for a few minutes. Anyway, this that you see behind me is fennel, and there are two types of fennel. One is the type that has a bulb and a root, and you can slice it up and throw it in pot roast and saute it. You can buy it in the grocery store. And then the other kind is the type they use for tea. So there's a reason why. I haven't had a garden in several years, which I can share after a bit, but there's a reason that you see them everywhere. I did not plant this much fennel. Several years ago, probably 4 or 5 years ago, I got some free seed packets that a website was giving away, and so I was able to get several packets of different seeds, and that was great. They were all really good seeds, and they had some asters, which are flowers, in the bag of seeds that I got. And so I thought, oh, how nice, I will plant some asters. And I planted a row that was probably not more than, I'm going to say 3 or 4 feet long. And I waited for the flowers to come up, and I did see a few asters start to pop up, and then I saw something else popping up with the asters, and I was like, what is that? I really didn't have any idea what it was. So I decided to let it grow. I knew it wasn't flowers, or at least aster flowers. So I decided to let it grow, and it got to be quite large, and I still wasn't able to identify it. A friend of mine who knows a lot more about plants, she finally told me that it looked like fennel to her. And so I thought, oh, interesting. Now fennel is very distinct because it has a licorice smell to it. So to test it, I picked one and kind of, you know, got it all broken down. Smell, oh yeah, it's fennel. It smells really strongly of licorice. And I thought, well, that's not a bad thing. I can use it for tea or something. So I let those plants grow. Then the other benefit is by the middle to the end of summer, it had beautiful flowers on it. Then the bees just absolutely loved it. And so I thought, well, that's great too. Brings bees into my garden, and my garden will be pollinated that way. So I just let it go. Well, then is when I had a lot of, that was pretty much the last garden I did, and I started having a lot of health issues. And I know I've mentioned it before, I've had bleeding ulcers, I've had hospital stays, I had a hiatal hernia surgery, and that ended up ripping, the doctor ripped a 4-inch hole down my throat that I had to recover from, and I had double vision, and I had to have surgery for that. So it was just a long string of multiple medical issues, and the garden just got basically ignored. I just wasn't able to do the garden, so we just didn't do anything with it. And I didn't even, because of my health issues, I wasn't even really paying attention to this garden area. And I think it was probably the second spring into the second summer, I realized, oh wow, there's a whole lot more fennel plants here than I remember before. And now if you fast forward 4 years later, I have a whole entire garden of nothing but fennel. I'm going to, after it matures a little bit more, I'm going to come down and harvest, you know, some of it, put it in a food dehydrator and save it for tea, because I think that would be, you know, that would be nice. And next year I'm hoping to have a garden, and you know, I can only I've only been able to take on a few things at a time, as I've spent the last few years just recovering from all these different issues. But so this year, as much as I wanted a garden, I decided no, that's just too much, and I'm glad I didn't. But I now have to get rid of all this fennel at some point and bring this garden area back under control. So of course you can stay tuned for that next year, but for now I will at least take the advantage of it and harvest some of it and enjoy the tea through the winter. I think my biggest plan that I'm kind of liking more and more that I think about it to deal with this garden is, at some point, I don't know if it will happen at the end of this year or next spring, but I'm thinking maybe 2 little goats and put them in here. I have a greenhouse that I don't use, hasn't been used in years, and it could be covered, and then they would have a place to get in out of the sun and a place to sleep. It's completely fenced, so they would be safe in here, and I think that's going to be my plan, is to put the goats in here and just let the goats have at it, and that will bring it all under control, and then I can move them to another area, and then the garden can be rototilled and it can be brought back under control. But in any case, that was the story of my garden, and I just thought you might like to see my fennel crop. I think I don't know too many more peaceful places to sit and enjoy a morning cup of coffee than down here at my pond. With all the craziness going on in the world, it's really nice to just stop and reflect on the blessings, the beauty, and the small things that are really wonderful that are in our life. As I'm sitting here, I'm seeing butterflies fly around. I'm hearing crickets jumping, moving, flying, whatever it is they do, and lots of birds, and some big ones way overhead flying around. Hopefully those are not the ones that are interested in my chickens. I'm not sure what the rest of my day is going to look like. I know I need to do some household chores, homemaking chores, and I need to do video editing and some food preps. I think my husband and I, because it's such a beautiful day, will probably barbecue some burgers tonight for dinner, so I don't have a whole lot to do but I may go in and make some potato salad to go with that. Look at all the tadpoles. The blackberries are starting to bloom, so hopefully we'll have a really nice crop of blackberries this summer. Jam and pies.